All right, man.
Sam, there's
How's
a
that?
question from the stream. Is there a country you would choose to live in other than the United States, and why?
I wouldn't choose to live in the United States, by the way. I'm here because my wife initially, her family was here and she was really connected to it. My family is, I'm not connected to my family in the same way. Like we kind of all live in different places. But I built a career here. I backed into a career. You know, like when I started teaching this class in the fall of 1991, they asked, can you teach this class, Social 19? And I said, oh man, I don't know if that's what else do you have? And they're like, we don't really have anything else for you to teach. And so that's how I started teaching this class. I was here writing my dissertation. Like I just can't, I had been living in Ecuador and I came here because my partner, who's now Lori, was here for grad school. So anyway, so I'm here and I accidentally like kind of built a career here, right? So it wasn't with the intention. So anyway, yeah, I would not choose to be, there's no way I would be living here. Not because I don't like it here, but just because the world's a really big place, man. Everywhere I've ever been, I show up there and I'm like, oh, I could live here. Oh, this is cool. Like, yeah, including places where a lot of other folks would think like, oh, I would never live there. I'm like, damn, I'd live there. I gotta go to Haiti. Okay, right now I don't want to be in Haiti, but because of things. But like, dude, Haiti, man. Okay, so it's different, right? You get it. So there's not a single country. My first love is Spain, only because it's the first country where I lived outside the U.S. But, you know, I have a place in Colombia. I would like to go live in Colombia, actually, more often. But maybe I'll go live in Korea, though. Korea would be cool, but it's far away.
I was just wondering if you've ever been to Bolivia. If you haven't, you should. And
To Libya?
Bolivia.
Bolivia. Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
And then also, second question, kind of unrelated. Do you have any country with like your favorite cuisine, like just one specific, like?
You know, okay, so I had a student from Bolivia a few years ago. When I was in Ecuador, I had a chance to go to La Paz, and I didn't go. I didn't have money back then because I was a poor grad student, so I didn't go. I had a student a number of years ago from Bolivia, and man, she just like reconnected me to wanting to go to Bolivia. Yeah, thanks for that. You know, the cuisine, Persian cuisine to me is just like the cuisine, man. When I eat at a Persian, Ethiopian cuisine for one, okay? I always was in love with Ethiopian cuisine, and then I had a chance to go to Addis a couple of times, and I really fell in love with it. But there's something about Persian food, and maybe it's just because whenever I eat with the Iranians and Persians, they just feed me so much, which is also kind of Afghan food. So Afghan and Persian food to me are like yeah, I would say that. How about you? Are you Bolivian, by the way?
Yeah, I was born there in La Paz.
Cool.
And it's beautiful country. So
Yeah,
if you're
man.
ever in Latin America again.
I know. Well, I'll be in Colombia in February.
That's
Listen,
awesome.
what's your favorite food?
Well, obviously I'm biased, but there's a lot of food in Bolivia, like
Yeah.
salteñas and sopa de maní, like all
Yeah.
that food is just so good. If it's not Bolivian, then it's Peruvian food, which
Yeah,
is similar. So
Dude, I went to Peru a few years ago, and on the second day, I had ceviche, and I got sick, and the entire time I was in Lima, the entire time I couldn't really eat because I was sick. It was like the worst 2 weeks of my life, man.
Over the course of the semester, it seems like, by the things you mentioned, it seems like places you've traveled to around the world have had a big impact on you. So is there like one particular place that like stands out to you that had like a great impact on you, or like a trip that taught you something?
First off, when we went to visit Basim in Iraq, and all the Iraqis were so kind and generous to the Americans who really destroyed so many parts of their country. you hear these stories, right? Those of you who are Americans, they're like, oh, people hate Americans. No, they don't, man. That's just Americans. That's just the narrow-mindedness of Americans who have never traveled, or they haven't traveled anywhere besides Paris. The French hate us. Actually, that's not true. I've had nothing but lovely experiences in France, in Parisians in particular, who have been very kind and generous. But I had experiences in, I'll tell this story really fast. Bassem has a friend who we met when we were in Iraq. And the first time he met us, he had a bad thought about us, right? His thought was, oh, here are the killers of my people. That was like his thought in his head. I'm gonna meet them, right? So we sat down, we had coffee together, and it was really a nice exchange. 3 days later, he calls Bassem and he says, I have to see them. I need to see them again. And Bassem's like, well, they're leaving tomorrow. He's like, no, I got to see them again. So we went and we met with him. And we met with him because he needed to apologize to us for having a bad thought about us, right? And I'm like, dude, first off, you don't have to apologize for having a bad thought. I mean, you're Iraqi. You have every right in the world to have any number of bad thoughts about us. But he was insistent that he had to say, I'm really sorry that I had that thought. And what so many people don't realize until you spend time with other folks is how loving, kind, and generous most people in the world really are. And including Americans toward other people, right? I mean, it's not like that. So anyway, that's like, I don't remember what your question was, but that was a place that had an impact. Another place, when I went to St. Petersburg, Russia, like now in Ukraine, and you're seeing all these Russian troops, and I remember being around all these Russian soldiers, and they were just little boys. And some of them surely have died in Ukraine, and they're just boys. It's like, oh, God. That had such an impact on me, to be in Russia.
I know you've been to a lot of different countries and a lot of different places, and I was wondering where has been the most impactful, meaningful place you've been to and why?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to have to say probably Haiti. Yeah. And if you don't, you'd have to go. You'd have to be there. You'd have to go. You'd have to go. Well, Haiti's not a place you go as a tourist, right? You only go to Haiti if you really know somebody. But the only way to know what I mean by that is you'd have to be there. So that's probably the most impactful. Yeah. Really intense.